There is one stock that is about to skyrocket. The company is the world's largest renewable energy generator of wind and sun in the world. They just added 3 gigawatts of renewables, which is the largest quarterly addition of renewable capacity that they've ever added. The company is Next Era Energy, ticker symbol NEE. They own Florida Power and Light, which is the largest regulated retail electricity provider. And they are set to be a large provider of renewable energy and also battery storage, which is part of their offerings for data centers. So data centers require a ton of compute and they're always on. So all these different power generation sources have to mix and be, no pun intended, regulated to balance the load at all times to make sure that the amount of power going in is the amount of power that's getting used, which is called power balancing, and that always has to be the same. There's another company that's also looking very enticing. The ticker is GLW, Corning. They have a product called Glassworks AI. It's an optical fiber. They have a segment, optical communications, that actually grew 30%. And the number is big, $1.5 billion of revenue. So it's a large segment. It's a very important segment to have growing because it serves the data center vertical. So both of these companies are implicated in data centers, and that trickle down hundreds of billions of dollars that's getting poured into OpenAI, that's getting poured into Meta so they can buy AI researchers or spend the money on compute, is finally reaching the actual build-outs of the data centers, the communications providers like Corning, and the energy providers like Next Era. This is not financial advice, but those seem like pretty clear recipients and the money is already flowing. If you're new to this channel, here's what we do. We don't just come up with ideas based on fundamentals. We've actually had some pretty big gains. So this is a solar company, a renewable company, FSLR, that went up 40% nearly in a month and a half after it was mentioned here. Bloom Energy, they actually provide energy to data centers on sort of a very fast basis. Mobile basis, 200% since it was called out here. A-Lab, a semiconductor company, up over 100% in a month and a half. This battery company, AMPX, up 90% in 30 days. And unsurprisingly, we've had some big results from these ideas. So one of our Discord members made 10 grand and another made 6,500. So pretty good results, especially considering right now we're offering a $19 Cyber Monday deal where you can try that out for 7 days. So if you think that's worth it, give it a shot. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice, but I hope these ideas help.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
So here's what's going on for Next Era. Q3 earnings were solid. They beat consensus, and the earnings per share was up. Revenue was up 5%, $8 billion. Didn't quite meet estimates, but this was the important bit. 3 gigawatts. 2 gigawatts of that in battery storage. So you do need a lot of battery storage, not just wind and solar, because if you can't store the energy in batteries, then you effectively are just wasting wind if it's really windy at night and there's not as much usage between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. At all these data centers. So this is one of the largest quarterly additions in storage backlog for NEER, New Era Energy. And here's the company. I keep calling them New Era. They're Next Era. Big company, 100 billion plus market cap. And along with their affiliates, they're the world's largest generator of renewable energy from the wind and sun. And then we also talked about that battery storage addition. 2 gigawatts of battery storage is a lot to add. And they're not just in Florida, although this Florida utility is the largest electric utility in the US as far as how much electricity it provides. These 5 million customers, 10 million people, sounds like 5 million households. But they're in New Hampshire, they're in Wisconsin, and they do have their hands in nuclear as well. So they're likely to be a bit of a test case as we transition from a no nukes environment for decades to one where it's a little more friendly towards any type of power generation source that is clean, but also spins up quickly. So natural gas will, of course, be part of that. But solar, wind, and then nuclear is going to be part of that as well. So that's a little bit about the company. And then reaffirmed guidance as well. So if we look at the actual chart, we can see some of this playing out. This spike, of course, was a little bit crazy, considering this is when earnings were. Midnight is a little bit unusual earnings result time, okay? But some companies do. Usually it's in the after hours, like 4 or 5 p.m. or, in the morning at like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. But there was definitely some buying up to that and then sell the news, okay, when that came out. So we don't have to look too much into this, even though it looks crazy on the chart. We can actually sometimes, this is something that you can do. I'm not saying to do this with every bar, but it gives you a better picture of what's actually going on here. And when you just take out that weird move, you do start to see something shaping up pretty well. I'll put it back because I'm not going to totally, pretend that it's not there. But that's what's so interesting. And the energy ETF has sold off a little bit. Crude oil has sold off a little bit. But a lot of these other energy companies, the big ones just follow crude oil. So you can't really get excited. And they also move so slowly. So there's a reason NextEra is much more interesting. And again, I'll put those back because it's only accurate, but I don't want to oversell the importance of that single spike. So there's definitely a level that's interesting at 85 and maybe just over a previous day's high of 85 exactly. It's at 85 and change right now. Here's what I'll do. That's actually shows it a little bit more accurately on a daily chart. It's not as scary. It almost reached that level up here. So once it gets above here, it could really fly. This is a pretty significant higher low. So this is something that someone looking at this chart, and these people exist and they do extremely well. Talking returns of more than 50% a year consistently for years. There's not a lot of them, but there's definitely thousands of them. Once you get into the 10 years or more, you get down into the hundreds. But still, you can just look at a chart if you're one of these people and you can say this is interesting. Now, it's also nice, in my opinion, to take a look at what's going on. So you look at the right charts. I think most people would agree. So weather is one factor that isn't talked about a lot with utilities, but it definitely matters. There are companies like Generac, the generator company, famously does really well cyclically during hurricane season. The stock goes up. People buy it because people are buying more generators. But that's sort of a minor little side note. NextEra is more about the long-term, the battery storage play. Didn't even talk about electric cars, but that's going to add another piece where they're charging and they're going to overload transformers, and having that battery storage to store that energy is crucial. Otherwise, you can't have everyone have an electric car, even most people. I'm sure in some neighborhoods you've already heard of some sort of power overloads from charging those. So NextEra is definitely going to be interesting as long as it stays as one of the main companies in this space, which it's giving every indication of being one. I mean, literally with its affiliates. God, I hate Windows. What the hell was that? It's giving every indication of being one of the largest companies, given it's the largest renewable energy provider. So there are other ones to look at, though. I mean, at least to just glance at, Southern Company and Dominion are these utilities. And you can just look at the utility ETF itself. It's sort of shaping up, which is a nice sign. But this is the Southern Company. It doesn't look great, right? And then Dominion just moves so slowly that, yeah, it got a little breakout there. And maybe you got a great, whatever this is, 5%, depending if you really timed it right. But it's kind of just the market going up there. It's really not anything super specific to Dominion. So I do think this is one of the best ways to play energy right now. There are some other companies that sort of can shape up and might shape up, but some of them just look really messy. And I think the best way, again, is the stock that looks the best and also has the story, being the world's largest solar and battery storage provider. And this connection to data centers is no joke. So 4 gigawatts of power deals in the pipeline connected to data centers. So this is a big statement from the CEO too, asking NextEra if they could identify grid-connected sites capable of serving 5 gigawatts, which is the energy consumption of a mid-sized city. So these are massive, massive power requirements. And them being green is a nice little touch that I think anyone working on the policy side of this is going to help. They really got their fingers in everything. Here's this nuclear site that they're working in. So it's definitely a company at the nexus of everything everyone is talking about who's serious about basically the economy, which is entirely data centers right now. So that's enough on NextEra. One other company that's pretty interesting is Corning, ticker symbol GLW. This is what they do, materials science, glass science. Really, that means optics and fiber optics. So connections between data centers. You send the bits over the cables. So that's what they do. They're a big company, 70 billion. And they're also in the data center conversation. 4 billion of sales, up 15% year over year. And this is the key. 1.5 billion is up 30% year over year. This is that optical communications. So a lot more than 15. And enterprise networks, 58% year over year. So enterprise compute, data storage is huge. All the data lakes, networking is the underbelly of all of that. Sure, they've got other segments. I think some of these are for like smartphone screens, solar as well. Solar panels would make sense, but the main important thing for this company has to be the data center build-outs, and the optical communications in this sector as a whole looks pretty interesting. So forecasts indicate that, I don't even know what this means. Earnings growth slightly outpaces sales growth. Someone can tell me at the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's not a red flag. I could be wrong. You want earnings and sales to be good, so the fact that they're a little different I don't think is a huge deal. Demand's gone up. So it is for smartphones. Also have significant demand for that. And this isn't like a 10-year idea or anything. Depending on what data centers actually get approved, permitted and all that is going to have a effect. And, if they do have some competitor come in and eat their lunch in some of these other segments, maybe that'll be a problem, but they do appear to be right in the eye of the hurricane in a good way. And the stock chart says that. This is pretty crazy, doubling since the April lows. So it's holding up, sold off with the market, which is actually sort of a healthy digestion. This November 13th down day, if we look at the market, we can see that's pretty significant. We can go back to a chart where all the bars are connected. I like to look at that. I like to think of after hours as, just like the regular market. You can still trade shares in a lot of these companies. Futures are moving, so you might as well look at the stock charts. So here's where it's setting up. This is why it's interesting. I'm not going to draw anything super, artful here. But you can basically see what this creates is an opportunity where you can buy here and you can risk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 days. So that level is really important in that if it gets there, people decide, no, it's not worth that much. They sell it off. Oh, it's not worth that much. Sell it off. Oh, you know what it is. And now we're breaking out and now you can risk off that level. So you risk 50 cents for a $10 move. It's pretty awesome. 20 to 1 risk reward. I'm not trying to make some sort of Bermuda Triangle thing here. I think that's pretty exciting. You can see it even held this on the 1010 Trump G rare earths day. So it's definitely important. They're definitely in the right sector to be interested in this. And the chart is kind of the cherry on top. These are some smaller companies, or at least not talked about much, big US companies. Fiber optics, and this is the type of products: high density fiber cables, connector assemblies. Glassworks AI is what they call it. As long as this keeps being true, this is a lot. 36 times more fiber connections per rack unit, which basically means faster, there we go, that's the word, bandwidth, flow of data. And they're connected with Lumen, which is a major name in AI-enabled data centers. Lumen is taking a little breather. Connection with Broadcom is also incredible. That's the company that's gone up like crazy recently. They had that OpenAI deal as well. So everything they've got going on is the real deal as far as it sounds right now. And if we look at these other companies, Broadcom, big move up right now. And then Lumen taking a breather, but just after earnings. So I think Corning looks like the best one that hasn't gone yet. So those are those two ideas. And I think NextEra is also interesting for sure. So if you like those two ideas, whoops, that's a better wind down sound. Hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you want a free course on how to buy stocks before they go up, hit that subscribe. You'll see that in the YouTube post once a month. And if you want to give our 7-day trial a spin for that $19 Cyber Monday price, head over to stockscommunity.com. And you could get results like the testimonials on that page. I can't guarantee it, but this isn't financial advice. It's just ideas. See you in the next one.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.